Yeah, Legends of Runeterra is one of those funny games that I'd known about for quite a while, and I really thought, oh, I really fancy playing that. But it just wasn't something that made me download it. I don't know what it was, maybe about... I don't know, I heard about it a few months ago, and especially when it launched into open beta. I thought, yeah, okay, I'm going to definitely play this, and then I never did. And it might be something to do with my addiction to Torchlight 2, but I think a lot of it is just to do with the fact that I'm not very good at card games, so there's a lot of apprehension there about getting into a card game. That changed when I watched SkillUp's review. Now, if you know SkillUp's content, he has this way of explaining things that can be quite motivating, and especially with Legends of Runeterra, I found that to be the case. So straight away, I went to download it, and I was pleasantly surprised. So what is Legends of Runeterra? Well, it's a card game similar to, well, it's in a similar vein to Magic the Gathering, Hearthstone. I think what interested me about Legends of Runeterra is just that I do quite like Riot, even though I don't play any of Riot's games. I know that sounds a bit funny, doesn't it? But I downloaded League of Legends and I thought this is an interesting game, and I really like the art style of Riot's games. I love the music of Riot's games, like the music videos they put out and stuff, I think are really good. But there was something about League of Legends, I think, especially MOBAs in general, that it just doesn't quite click with me. And I think if I spent more time with them or something, then I would learn to love them. But MOBAs for me at the moment just don't do it. I was really wanting Riot to release some new games, and when they came out with their announcement that they were working on like an MMO, a team-based, PvP game, a card game, that really got me excited. To see that Legends of Runeterra was being so fondly received by the community, it really made me happy, because it's a company that I feel like I can get behind in a similar way to what Blizzard used to feel like, because a lot of people have kind of moved away from this positive Blizzard mindset, and I feel like Riot is in a very, very good location where they have bootloads of money to kind of capitalize on people's affections in the same kind of way that Blizzard used to do. Gameplay wise, there's quite a few differences to Hearthstone and differences to Magic the Gathering. I played Magic the Gathering years and years and years ago, so I'm not massively familiar on exactly the rule set of it, but I know that you used to get lands, and you used to have to play lands in order to fund your card playing. Now that's different in Legends of Runeterra. You get mana every turn, so 1 extra mana every turn, and that can be used to fund your cards when you're playing cards. So there's a little bit different there, and in a similar way to Hearthstone, where you're doing all your things in 1 turn and then it goes to the next player. Well, it's different again to Hearthstone, because in this game it's very back and forth. So when it becomes your attacking turn, you would play a card, and then it gives your opponent a chance to play a card also, and then you might play another card, and then it gives your opponent a chance to play a card, and then you might decide to attack, and then it gives your opponent a chance to defend and choose who to defend. So there's lots and lots of different. I feel SkillUp compared it to American football, and I couldn't agree more, because there is that kind of strategic, almost like chess-like element to the game, which makes it it slows the pace down, definitely, but there is something more methodical about that style that can be attractive to a certain kind of player. For myself, I found it less accessible than Hearthstone. I felt like after maybe half an hour of playing Hearthstone, I totally got it. It didn't obviously hook me, but I did understand what the gameplay was with Hearthstone. Whereas with Legends of Runeterra, you do feel like you need to play it for a little bit longer. Maybe, well, for me, I think I probably got it after an hour or maybe an hour and a half, and that was after doing lots of tutorials. At the moment there's about, I think it's like 11 tutorials that you can play through, and that will show you different elements of the game. The issue for me is that I'm not very good at card games, like I said at the start, so I don't win very much. But the funny thing is that with a lot of games, if I'm not successful, then I tend to just turn it off. But with this game, there's something about it that just makes me want to learn more and get better myself, rather than just giving up on it completely. And I think that's really a sign of a good game. There's certain gameplay elements where, especially how they've made things feel, so with animations and with sound effects, with music, it feels very, very pleasant to play. And I think that's really nailing some of the core aspects of these kind of games. Like, you really need to nail down those parts in order to make them work. So there is definitely an enjoyable element in just playing the game. Even if you lose, you kind of think that was fun. So I think they've really nailed it in that aspect. There are also abilities that you can play, like burst abilities, where you can just maybe deal damage instantly. There's no way of your opponent to retaliate in any way before that comes off. And you've got fast abilities, you've got slow abilities, where the opponent will have a chance to retaliate in certain ways. Maybe they will block that ability, or maybe they would do an ability back before yours finishes. So there is definitely there's a lot of different elements. There's also when you're building decks of cards, you're using a different rarity of mobs, and you can also use hero cards. So the hero cards work in a way that you can level up certain heroes by doing different things in game. So it might be that one of them levels up just by being defeated. So it says that as soon as I'm defeated, then I instead of dying, I level up. And then what that will do is replace that card with a superior card, normally with, you know, more health, more damage. It might be that the card has extra abilities that it will give to you when certain effects happen. So there's a lot going on with it. I can't pretend to understand the game at all, but what I can tell you is that it's really good. Visually, the design for me is very, very, very appealing. Like, there's just something about the Riot's artists that are just top notch. They just really remind me of Blizzard in a lot of ways, where you just see every single piece of artwork that comes out of me, you think that is actually incredible. So one of the really enjoyable elements of the game for me is just seeing a new card and being able to enjoy the artwork that someone's put time into, and it's just fantastic. Especially the card art. Like, every single card that you see, you think the artwork is incredible. And like, the style of the art is very reminiscent of League of Legends. Like, if you play League of Legends, and this art style is very, very similar, and obviously that's intentional because you're using the same heroes as League of Legends, and a lot of the same characters and mobs. I don't play League of Legends, so I don't know exactly about that, but I do know that the heroes are the same as far as I know. And you've got different boards that can be purchased, and they're really interesting. So your half of the board can be changed, and their half of the board can be changed. So whatever your style is, you've got a little kind of like a little mascot almost, and that can be changed as well. So there is some kind of customizability to it, which is quite interesting. And again, design wise and artwork wise, it's just phenomenal. Really, really, really top notch. Definitely industry leading. Yeah, business model wise, I would say this is definitely the most appealing part of the game for me, because I am a notorious with my friends hater of free to play. Like, if I see a game, go through the trailer and I go, yes, this is amazing, wow, gameplay's cool, visuals are cool, and then you know what's going to ruin it? It's going to be the business model, and then it's going to be like free to play, and you think, free to play, which just means rather than being monetized the once, maybe like I buy the game for £30 and that's it, I've got to pay indefinitely. You know, it's a way for a company to indefinitely milk me as far as I'm concerned, and it's just not, it doesn't appeal to me. I hate free to play models. Now with this card game, I kind of understand it, because there'll be cards coming out forever essentially as far as the game's supported, and I do understand it with card games a little bit. But what makes Legend of Runeterra different is the ability to target cards that you want. So you might want to build a certain deck, and rather than having to, you know, drive funds into buying you know, you obviously you earn a certain currency in the game, but rather than using that currency and buying card packs and then just getting random cards, so it could be like completely useless to you as far as what you want to build in your deck, you actually get wild cards of different rarities. So if you get a common wild card, you can exchange that common wild card for any card, which I think is a really interesting. It's a much more fair economy for me. And as well, you can just purchase cards outright with a certain amount of currency that you've made in game, or obviously you could buy that currency. What I think what's really interesting is in the store side of things. Obviously, you can buy the mascots and you can buy the boards. Like the only way you get those is by using real money. But when it comes to buying these wild cards, so like rare or common or epic ones or hero ones, you can pay real money for them. But Riot actually limits the amount of money that you can pay every week, which I think is a really nice aspect of the game. I mean, number one, it just stops somebody from just driving loads and loads of money into the economy and just getting whatever cards they want. And it kind of like almost levels the playing field a little bit. So for someone like me who may only spend, you know, very small amounts of money on the game, it still means that I can be competitive with somebody who has a lot of money to spend in the game, because they're going to hit a ceiling where Riot have capped it. And even just with like in-game rewards, so when you play in the game, you are given a lot of the currency to buy cards, but also you're given you have certain challenges where you're playing with certain cards and you earn XP and level up certain regions. So the cards are split into like several regions, and you're able to progress a certain region by playing the game and like assigning yourself to that region. And if you do that, then it will give you cards from that region. So it's definitely to me it just feels very rewarding, and I think they've definitely hit the nail on the head. They're gonna get, I mean, with League Legends, they have obviously are making billions off that game, and it's hugely popular, so they know what they're doing with monetization. But with Legends of Runeterra, they know they're going to get people who are going to spend money in the game, so why make it this really like oppressive economically wise? Why make it, you know, like with some free-to-play games are so like in your face, like what you to spend, when they know that they are going to have a certain like minority of people who are going to spend a lot in their game anyway. So why make it really oppressive for the people who are going to spend small amounts? Because if you make it pleasant for them and they stay around, then you have a healthy you know, game player base all around, don't you? So I think it's a really smart move by Riot, and I can only praise them for what they're doing. I mean, obviously, would I prefer it to be, you know, would I prefer to pay £40 for the game and then that be it? I get all the cards and I can make whatever deck I want. Yes, I would prefer that, and that's ideally, in a perfect world, that will be the business model we get. But I understand that it's not a charity and it is a business, and so, you know, Riot has, you know, owners, shareholders. I don't know if they're a public company or whatever, but I'm assuming they have shareholders that just want to see profits. So I understand, and I think that the way that they're angling this one is particularly good. Yeah, in conclusion, I find it really exciting, something like this to come along, a competitor to Hearthstone, because it's been kind of like the main, I suppose there is Magic the Gathering online game and there is a Yu-Gi-Oh one, but Hearthstone to me is one that's pierced into my consciousness. So obviously it's been publicised quite well and it's quite popular. As a competitor to that, I think it's a really good place in the market, and I can't wait to see where it goes. So I'm going to keep playing. I'm going to try my best to be better at the game, because all I do is lose at it. I think I've got one win or something, but I'm enjoying it, and that's what matters really, isn't it, at the end of the day when you're playing games, because that's what the hobby's for, isn't it? Relaxation and enjoyment. And if you're getting that out of a game, then it doesn't really matter if you're being like competitively successful, I guess, does it? Yeah, I would say keep your eye on the game. I mean, I would give it a download. It's in beta. There's a few graphical issues, but it's basically a final product that they can kind of get away with saying it's a beta, but it is basically a release game. So definitely give it a check out, and I'll see you in the next one.